connecting.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Seniors Podcast. This is your host, Bobby Ancheta, and together with me is Miss Jazz, who is joining us for the first time. Hello, Jazz.
Hello, I'm also from a senior. I'm Jazz Monteros.
I'm very happy to be with you, and this afternoon is again another special episode because this podcast is going to be featuring a youth, a very active youth in Surigao City, who is also currently an SK counselor of Barangay Nabago, Surigao City. He is also the JC president of St. Paul University, Surigao. Let us all welcome our resource person this afternoon, our guest. He is SELYWN Villamor Patente. Good afternoon, Selwyn. How are you?
Hello, Sir Bob. I'm fine po. I'm fine. Kamusta po?
I'm good. I'm very happy that finally we would be able to have this recording after a couple of postponements.
Ilang beses na postponed.
Yes, I'm also very happy because this talking about the youth and youth development is one of my interests, having been a youth leader also when I was in my younger years. Now, this podcast, our episode, is going to be focusing on the impact of the youth in the senior community, in your senior community. So in our research, Selwyn, I've been told that you're quite active in your community, and aside from serving your fellow youth, you're also serving the senior members of your community. Why don't we talk about your current involvements and your current interests, Selwyn?
Okay, sure po. As to my current involvements po, let's start with how I became before I became the president of Junior Jaycees Chamber of St. Paul University Surigao. Bago po ako naging president ng JJC, I already chaired some of mga projects and mga committees on our barangays that are focusing on illegal drugs like barkada kontra droga in the level of our barangay, in the barangay level. So I once also the president of Polynesian Student Nurse Association in the campus in our university, and I became the treasurer of the organization that I've been handling right now. I became the Secretary General way back 2021, and now I'm already the president of the organization JGC St. Paul University Surigao, Sir Bob.
So if I got it right, you're also a nursing student.
Yes po, correct? I'm a fourth year BS nursing student po.
Just if you would remember, our previous guest was also a nursing student. She's now a clinical instructor, and she's also a Jaycees. Her name, Miss Casey.
He's actually my clinical instructor, Sir Bob.
Oh, small world talaga. So I believe somehow the interest that she had in serving the senior community has rubbed off on you as well. Okay, now you are an SK counselor in your barangay. By the way, how many years have you been serving as SK counselor?
Well, actually, it's my first time being the SK counselor. I guess that was 2019 when I ran for the office, and fortunately I won. I was elected as the SK counselor. Then, yun na, dire-diretso na ang mga naging opportunities along the way until now, Sir Bob.
Now, as we have said, also you serve your fellow youth, but since our program focuses on the retirees and also senior citizens, let me ask you, while being a representative of your youth in your barangay, what were those activities or what were those programs that you were also involved that somehow benefited the senior citizens of your immediate community?
So actually, Sir Bob, we have this notion kasi na once kasi na may mga notion na once na matanda na hanggang dyan na lang. And sometimes
Mhm.
sometimes natin take for granted natin ang mga the senior community. But in our barangay, the moment we had the office or we held the position as the SK councilor, we already plan it ahead of time, like the strategic planning, that hindi lang focus talaga sa mga youth ang projects and programs. Also, the SK also is one of the parang agents of pursuing the local council on how are we going to empower these elderly. One example po is yung the first part of our strategic planning sa calendar of activities po namin on our LGU sa Barangay Nabago. We had this monthly monitoring of the drugs or medications that's been prescribed to these elderly in partnership with the barangay health workers. So being a nursing student, so parang medyo naging inclined ako in this kind of activities, in this kind of mga programs, because I know na medyo inclined siya to the course that I've been taking up this time. So yun, we have this monthly dialogue with the barangay health workers, whether these individuals, list of these senior citizens are taking their medications up to date, or like they are taking it religiously. And sometimes nagbabahay-bahay kami, Sir Bob, if they are parang kumustahan lang with these senior citizens.
And that's really a very
Actually,
thoughtful...
Sir Bob, po siya, progressive siya na program na nakatutupin pa rin yung community ng Barangay Nabago sa senior citizens, na they're given also a chance na they're still part, or like binibigyan sila ng importansya.
That's true. And I like the fact that you are taking time to visit the elderly, because karamihan ng mga elderly are somehow left behind because their children would be working already.
Yes,
and their grandchildren would also be going to school. So most of the elderly are just left at home, and sometimes they don't have anyone to speak with. So yung ginagawa ninyo na nag-monitor, you're actually, I believe you are a breath of fresh air para sa buhay ng mga elderlies, because it's seldom that they're able to connect with the younger generation. And I think
nga po, it's like a way to break out of the routine.
Yes.
So maganda po yun.
It's actually simple gesture of kindness lang naman po talaga. So parang in-incline na rin po namin siya with the strategic plans of the LGU. So since nung time na is hindi pa naman ganun ka-busy ang mga SK, so we have it like monthly talaga. I like minsan at least twice a month. So pero na tumagal is naging monthly lang. But still, we were able to monitor these individuals if they are taking their medications religiously, still in partnership with the LGU, thanks to the Rural Health Unit of Barangay Nabago.
Kasi yun na nga yung mga matatanda na sometimes they don't have anyone to speak with, and some of their grandchildren would say na paulit-ulit na lang kung sinasabi ni Lola at ni Lola. Parang I don't like listening to it anymore. But if there are new people who come in, and then they can again share their thoughts to the younger, to these new visitors, that gives them somewhat like an opportunity to be able to talk to other people, to be able to renew their ties within their community. That's really important even for their mental health as well. So this is really a very good project that you have started. Now, may I know if there are also other barangay youth who are doing the same as what you are doing in Barangay Nabago?
As far so far po parang wala pa po akong masyadong idea on what their specific projects or programs with other barangays. Pero there's this specific program po talaga ng iba't ibang mga SK chapter or from other barangays na they have this specific program parang limited to Zumba, yung mga ganun lang po, mga social gatherings with these senior citizens na minsan itinatapat po sa mga town fiestas, sa mga foundation day ng barangay, yung mga ganun lang. Simple programs and ano lang po, activities emphasizing our senior citizens, our senior community.
Selwyn, the last 2 years must have been a very big challenge sa inyo because aside from the fact that you are an SK Kagawad serving your barangay, but because of the pandemic, your movements or the things that you can do have been limited. How did you cope with it?
Actually, totoo po yung sinabi niyo, Sir Bob, na that was too challenging the last 2 years because we were confined to our homes because of the pandemic. And since magkabarangay lang naman, so parang nakikita-kita lang talaga. Usually kasi pag was na away from the city, usually nakakakita-kita lang talaga ang mga sa barangay. So we had this dialogue or conversation with the other SK members na how are we going to address this concern, not compromising this senior community na despite sa pandemic. So parang na-stop saglit yung bahay-bahay, yung home visitation, but we were still able to monitor or we're still able to keep in touch with the RHU, the Rural Health Unit of Barangay Nabago. So parang continue pa rin po ang communication and dialogue with the LGU ng Nabago with the barangay health workers of Barangay Nabago. So kahit na hindi po nababahay-bahay this ang mga senior citizens, we still have this monitoring with the barangay health workers.
Okay, that's very nice. Now, aside from your work in the barangay, you are also a member of Junior Jaycees. What were those projects that you also did related to your activities with Jaycees that also somehow benefited the elderly?
Way back 2019, hindi pa naman po masyadong ganun ka-serious ang COVID-19 dito sa Surigao City. We were able to conduct a certain program po ata yun, parang a certain barangay po dito sa Surigao City where we were able to, sa ano po yun actually, one of our subject po kasi sa nursing is we have this care of the older adults. So parang hindi po siya ganun ka-inclined doon sa Jaycees organization, but we were able to tap the organization. Parang naging ginawa naming partner organization ang JJC to
this is with Preskisi, right?
Yes, Preskisi. We are working together with Preskisi. That's why during our duty on the community, we were able to conduct certain symposium na addressing the concern of our elderly, like yung mga risk for falls, yung mga ganon. Nandun that's one of the concept of sa part po ng care of older adults because we're emphasizing the privacy and security of our elderly individuals, of our lolos and lolas. So that's why part of our programs is emphasizing their safety. So you're able to tap with the Junior Jaycees of St. Paul University Surigao, and yun, nagkaroon ng a simple program, and there's this part din na pinazumba natin ang mga lolos and lolas, and they were very participative. Good thing.
So curious lang po, Mr. Selwyn, since sa school and sa organization nyo, you're very active with the senior community. So I'm just going to ask this question, like personal naman na level. Now, are your parents senior citizens or have you taken care of senior citizens sa family niyo?
Ang parents ko pa senior pa lang. Hindi pa sila senior. My lolos and lolas, and I have this lola ng mama ko. So we medyo matanda na talaga siya, great grandmother, ganon.
Okay.
Medyo na siya na makakalimutin na ba, and I was able to, though hindi talaga directly, pero kasi minsan lang naman ako nakakauwi sa barangay namin because of the hectic schedules this past months po. Pero I've been conversing with her, no, minsan nga natatanong ko kung kamusta yung ano ba ang itsura ng barangay na bago noon at ngayon. And nakalimutan niya naman na. And yun, I'm also concerned with her safety. So ganun, hindi na kasi siya masyadong makalakad and all. That's why. But I'm still keeping in touch with her, having a dialogue with her.
Now, with all of these experiences that you have, I would like to ask you, in your opinion, what is the impact of the youth in the seniors' lives in your community, or the life of the seniors in your community? What would you say is the impact of the youth sa buhay ng ating mga senior citizens?
Well, I guess nga, 'di ba, we need to break this notion na minsan kasi sa mga kabataan ngayon, they are more focused on their studies, on social media, and sometimes we're taking for granted kung na yung mga lolos and lolas natin. But the youth or ang mga kabataan have this great impact among our older adults because sabi nga nila, ang mga kabataan, they are very creative and lively. So when dealing with activities or projects, I think these youth, these mga kabataan will greatly help on formulating or crafting certain projects and programs for our senior community. Yun nga, more on recreational activities kasi we need to we have different generations up to this time, 'di ba? And we need to, sabi nga, let us not yung mga generation na dapat hindi maging hinder for us to understand kung anong generation ng ating mga lolos and lolas, because sometimes yun yung nagiging gap between the elderly and yung mga kabataan ngayon. So we need to reinforce the thoughts sa mga kabataan na kung gaano ka-importante ang mga lolos and lolas natin in our community. Hindi porket na matanda na sila hanggang doon na lang sila. Dapat actually sabi nga ni Press just nung nakaraan, 'di ba? It is actually being senior citizen, it is not the end, but actually a beginning of another journey. Am I right, Press Just?
Yes, very much. Hello? So,
yes.
parang nawala si Sir Bob. Okay.
Okay. Now, I completely agree with what SELYWN has just said. What SELYWN said na yung generation, as much as possible, should continue communicating because there is so much knowledge that we can gain from our elder adults. But aside from that one, it would also be good for our youth to ensure the well-being of our elderly, to keep them from boredom, we might say, to encourage them to continue serving. Because kung wala ngang connection, if the elderly would not be able to have a connection with the present generation, if it builds a gap, if there is this isolation, and then yung isolation would slowly bleed later on in their feeling na parang wala na akong silbi, it might lead to depression. And as you know, if it leads to depression, it may also lead to some untoward results which we do not like. So there's all the time that need, or yes, I would still say there's all the time that need to ensure that we still respect, we still recognize the value of our elders so that they would continue to become contributive, productive, and helpful to our community.
Kaya nga one of our isa rin sa mga nagiging thoughts ba ng mga kabataan ngayon na parang especially ngayon election, 'di ba? On the local election, sometimes ang nagiging majority sa ating mga tumatakbo sa election is more mga kabataan. But let us also encourage our senior, like kung kaya nila, let's run for a position, 'di ba ganon? We should always encourage our senior community to still involve in our civic engagements or involvements sa mga societal na mga issues, no? Na kahit na matanda na sa, they're still part of these issues, they're still part of the solution.
I agree. But you know what? It's not only running during the elections, because even if they do not run for a position during the elections,
Yes,
they can still very much become they can very much participate in the activities of our immediate communities by being active, for example, in the purok, even in the purok level. So, of course, there might still be another election kung sino yung magiging purok president and so on.
yeah,
But it's not anymore like you have to run for a particular barangay office or you have to run for an office in the city or in your municipality just so that you will be able to contribute to your community. Another thing which I know for a fact would be very beneficial for the community is that the senior citizens can very well even provide service, render service sa church, sa community, pwedeng mga tutorials, skills sharing. So there are lots of things that the elderly can still provide our community. And with the help of the youth, they will be able to really share their talents, their wisdom to the present generation. Jazz, meron ka madadagdag? Any other questions that you would like to ask?
Ano lang. For me, may ano lang ako. May masasabi lang ako sa mga narinig ko. So actually, yeah, yung involvement ng senior committee, maganda siya kasi nakaka-express din sila ng experiences nila. And as we all know, they've been through our age also, so they could provide us experiences that we could learn from. So, yun nga, kahit na hindi election, their participation is still vital since they could parang share, like be of wise counsel. Ganun
Yes, yes, I completely agree. Now, just it has been a very, very enlightening experience talking to a youth, a member of the youth sector of our country, who has continued even up to this day to be relevant in your community, in your community, serving not only your fellow youth but also the elderly. Before we end our show, is there anything you would like to say, greet, or share to our listeners?
Yun po, I would just like to encourage lang na sa ating mga listeners, no, na let us not forget our lolos and lolas, no. They still have this vital part, or they have this crucial role in our society. So mahalin natin si lolo and lola, yun lang po. And to our viewers, thank you for watching our episode for today, and yun lang po. Thank you po,
Okay.
Sir Bob.
You're very welcome. And so that wraps up our episode today. I would like to thank our resource person this afternoon, si SELYWN Patente. Thank you very much. And also I would like to thank my co-host, Ms. Jazz, for joining me in today's episode. On behalf of all of the members of ASENYOR, thank you for taking some of your precious time to be with us in this podcast. Have a good day and stay healthy and safe. Goodbye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.